The apartment door slammed so hard the windows almost rattled. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when the sound of your keys hitting the shelf cut through the silence. But this time, something was off. Usually, you tossed them carelessly, with a light clatter. Today, it was sharp, hurried. I stood up, feeling my heart quicken, and walked into the living room. You were standing by the mirror, holding your phone, which you quickly slipped into your jeans pocket the moment you saw me. Your eyes, always so warm, now avoided mine, as if I were a stranger. Where were you? I asked, though the answer was already swirling in my head. You always said at work, and I believed you. But today, I noticed your missed call, a number with no name, lingering in the notifications before you deleted it. You froze, as if searching for words, and I felt something heavy tighten in my chest. At work? You replied, turning to the closet as if looking for something to hang. But I saw your fingers tremble as you hooked your coat on the hanger. You never trembled. Not before. I stood there, staring at your back, thinking, why are you lying? Why do you hide your phone like it holds a secret that could destroy everything? I didn't ask again. I didn't want to hear another lie. But questions, sharp as blades, began spinning in my mind. You'd been staying late for 2 months. You stopped telling me about your day. You avoided my hugs, citing exhaustion. And that number, I'd seen it before, weeks ago, when you left your phone on the table, and it lit up with a message. You said it was a work colleague. But colleagues don't text at 1 a.m. I returned to the couch, pretending everything was fine. But inside, something cracked. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Your gaze, your haste, your phone, which you now clutched like it was part of you. I knew you were hiding something, and I had to find out what. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside you, listening to your steady breathing, thinking, how can you sleep so peacefully if you're lying? My phone was on the nightstand, and I quietly typed your number into Google, hoping to find something. Nothing. Then I opened your Instagram, scrolling through old posts, searching for clues. But you were careful. Too careful. Your stories were empty. No locations, no details. You knew I might check. The next morning, you woke up earlier than usual. I heard you whispering in the bathroom, thinking I was asleep. Yes, I'll be there, you said softly. No, he doesn't know. My hands gripped the sheets. Blood pounded in my temples. I didn't know who he was, but I felt it was me. You were talking about me, and you were lying. I got up, pretending to wake, and went to the kitchen. You came out of the bathroom, smiling as always. But I saw the shadow in your eyes. You thought I was blind. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed, and that was enough to start. I didn't say anything. I didn't make a scene. I didn't throw accusations. But in that moment, I decided I would find the truth. I would tear your lies apart, even if it tore me apart. You thought I trusted you, but you were wrong. I no longer trusted you, and I wouldn't stop until I knew everything. You started staying late at work every evening. At first, I didn't pay attention. You were always ambitious, loved your job. Projects, deadlines, meetings, I was used to you disappearing until late. But lately, you stopped talking about what you did. You used to share every detail. How a colleague spilled coffee on a report, how a client changed requirements at the last minute. Now, silence. You came home, muttered, I'm tired, and buried yourself in your phone. I asked how your day was, but your answers became curt, as if brushing me off. Nothing interesting, you said, but your eyes said otherwise. I began noticing little things that wouldn't let me rest. You checked your phone when you thought I wasn't looking. Before, you left it on the table, unbothered. Now it was always in your hand or pocket. You put a password on your laptop, though it used to sit open in the kitchen. I jokingly asked why the secrecy, and you brushed it off, just updated the settings. But I didn't believe you. You were never paranoid. Then I found a receipt in your bag, Cafe Mirage, a place we'd never been. The date was last Friday, when you were supposedly at a work event. Why didn't you mention this cafe? Why didn't you say you drank wine there for 400 hryvnias? I started doubting myself. Was I imagining things? Was it just stress, and I was looking for problems where there were none? But then I noticed you switching tabs on your laptop when I entered the room. How you lowered your voice when answering calls. How you stopped wearing the earrings I gave you, replacing them with new ones I didn't recognize. Each detail was like a needle pricking my trust. I couldn't sleep, replaying your words, your gestures, searching for inconsistencies. You were lying. I felt it. But why? And with whom? I decided to check. Not because I didn't trust you, But because I couldn't live with this doubt, I didn't want to make a scene or demand explanations. You'd deny everything. I needed facts. I knew you synced your Google account with your phone. Location history could show where you'd really been. It wasn't betrayal, right? Just a way to calm myself. I waited until you went to shower, took your old tablet you hadn't used in ages, and logged into your account. I knew the password. You hadn't changed it since last year. The screen lit up, and I opened Google Maps. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through your routes. Friday, 8 p.m., you weren't at the office, as you said. You were at the Panorama Hotel, in a part of town you never went to for work. My heart pounded. I checked other days. Cafe Mirage, a mall, another hotel. You weren't at work. You were somewhere else. With someone. I closed the tablet, feeling everything inside me constrict. You came out of the bathroom, smiling, and asked if I wanted tea. I nodded, pretending everything was fine. But in my head, a plan was forming. I wouldn't stop at locations. I'd check your messages, your calls, everything you hid. I'd find the truth, even if it destroyed me. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I wouldn't back down. You said you were at the office until 9, but I checked your location history. You were at the Panorama Hotel, in a district you never visited for work. I sat at the kitchen table, holding my phone, staring at the map where a red dot marked your location. A hotel. Not the office. Not a cafe with friends. A hotel. My hand shook as I zoomed in, as if the details could explain why you were there. But there was no explanation. Only an emptiness growing in my chest. I remembered that evening. You came home after 10, smelling of a new perfume I didn't recognize. You said you stayed late for a report, and I believed you. I even offered to order pizza to help you relax. And you laughed, thanked me, as if everything was normal. But now I knew. You weren't writing a report. You were at a hotel. With whom? So I decided to dig deeper. Locations were just the start. If you lied about where you were, you lied about other things. I knew you synced your messages with iCloud. You were never careful with tech, leaving passwords on sticky notes, not logging out of accounts. I took my laptop and logged into your iCloud, using the password you'd written on a scrap of paper in the drawer. I didn't even have to hack. You left the door wide open. The messages loaded in seconds. I scrolled through them, looking for anything unusual. Most were from colleagues, friends, store spam. But then I saw a number with no name. No contact, just digits. The messages were short. Meet at 7 p.m. I'm in the lobby, don't call. I'm busy. The dates matched the evenings you stayed late. I felt my blood pounding in my temples. You were texting someone you didn't save in your contacts. You were hiding them. I copied the number and entered it into WhatsApp. The profile had no photo, no status, but I saw you were online with them last night, when you said you were going to bed. You weren't sleeping. You were texting them. I didn't know who they were, but I already hated them. And you for making me this way. I didn't want to be a paranoid guy spying on his girlfriend. But you left me no choice. I erased my tracks from the laptop and put it back. You couldn't know I was checking. Not yet. I returned to the living room, where you were watching a show, holding your phone. You smiled at me, but I saw your fingers tighten on the screen. You were afraid I'd notice something. And you were right. That night, I lay beside you, imagining what you did in that hotel. A client meeting? A secret party? But I knew it wasn't that. You wouldn't wear new perfume for clients. You wouldn't hide messages for friends. It was something else. Someone else. I closed my eyes, pretending to sleep, but in my head, a plan was forming. I wouldn't stop at messages. I'd check your calls, your social media, everything you hid. I'd find out who they were and what you were doing with them. You thought I trusted you. But I didn't trust you anymore. And I wouldn't stop until I knew the truth. You started wearing a new perfume I didn't buy, but when I asked where it came from, you said it was a gift from a colleague. Your answer was quick, too quick, as if you'd rehearsed it. You stood by the mirror, applying makeup, and smiled as if my question was trivial. But I noticed your fingers gripped the bottle tighter than necessary. You were nervous. I didn't press, nodded, and left the room, but my mind was racing. A gift from a colleague? You never mentioned a colleague who'd give you perfume. And why the scent, sharp, expensive, not your usual light floral? I sat in the kitchen, holding a cup of cold coffee, replaying the past weeks. You'd changed. Not just the perfume. You started wearing new dresses I hadn't seen before. You painted your lips brighter than usual. You stopped wearing the earrings I gave you for our anniversary, replacing them with thin gold hoops I didn't recognize. Each detail was like a puzzle piece I couldn't yet fit together, but I felt the picture would be painful. So I called your friend Alina, who you supposedly were with the night you stayed late at the office. I knew Alina couldn't lie. She always got flustered when caught in small fibs. I dialed her, pretending I just wanted to check if you'd left something at her place after your meetup. Alina paused for a second, then stammered, "Meetup? What are you talking about?" Her voice shook, and I knew. You weren't with her. You lied. Again. I thanked Alina and hung up, feeling everything inside me tighten. You said you were with her that Friday, but Alina didn't know about any meetup. Where were you? At the Panorama Hotel? At Cafe Mirage? Or somewhere else I couldn't find you? I felt anger mixed with pain. You weren't just hiding the truth. You were building a web of lies, and I was the fool who believed. I returned to the living room, where you were flipping through a magazine, pretending everything was fine. I looked at you and thought, how can you be so calm? How can you sit here, in our apartment, and lie to my face? I wanted to scream, demand answers, but I held back. Screaming wouldn't get me anywhere. You'd slip away, as always, with another excuse. I needed evidence. Hard, undeniable. That night, when you went to bed, I opened your iCloud again. I scrolled through messages, looking for something new. The number with no name appeared again. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., don't be late, they wrote. You replied, okay, I'll be there. I copied the date and time. Tomorrow. I'd know where you'd be. I'd check who you were meeting. I wouldn't let you keep fooling me. I closed the laptop and lay beside you, listening to your breathing. You slept as if you had no secrets. But I knew you were hiding something big, and I was ready to unearth it, even if the truth tore me apart. You thought I wouldn't notice your lies. But I noticed, and I wouldn't stop until I uncovered them. You stopped leaving your phone on the table, even when you went to shower, but I noticed you smiling as you read messages when you thought I was asleep. It was last night. I lay in bed, pretending to sleep, but through half-closed eyes, I saw your phone screen light up your face. You bit your lip, typing a reply, and your smile wasn't the one you gave me. It was intimate, the kind you used to give me 2 years ago when we were just starting. My insides twisted, like someone punched me in the gut. I didn't move, didn't give myself away. You slipped the phone under your pillow and lay down, thinking I saw nothing. But I saw everything. And I knew. You weren't just texting someone. You were hiding an entire life I didn't know about. Your phone became your shield, your secret. Before, you left it anywhere: kitchen, living room, even the car. Now it was always with you, like a second skin. And that wasn't a coincidence. So I decided to go further. Locations, messages, calls, it wasn't enough. I needed undeniable proof, something you couldn't deny. I bought a hidden camera. Small, discreet, one I could hide in the bedroom. I wasn't proud of it. I felt pathetic, like a detective from a cheap TV show. But you left me no choice. I had to know what you did when you thought I wasn't watching. Setting up the camera was easy. You went to a client meeting, another lie I no longer swallowed. I attached the device behind the bookshelf, aiming it at the bed and the table where you often sat with your phone. The camera recorded everything in real time, sending data to my laptop. I checked the quality, clear, even in the dark. I felt like both hunter and prey. I didn't want to do this. But you forced me. That evening, you came back late, smelling of that same unfamiliar perfume. You said you were tired and went to shower. I opened my laptop and played the recording. While you were in the bathroom, the camera caught you talking on the phone, whispering. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw your gestures. You nervously twisted a strand of hair, smiled, then quickly hung up when you heard my footsteps. You were hiding, even in our bedroom. I watched the footage over and over, looking for details. Your bag was on the table, and I noticed something new, a bracelet I hadn't seen before. Thin, silver, with a small pendant. I never gave you bracelets. My gifts, earrings, a watch, sat forgotten in a drawer. Who gave you this? The same colleague who gave you the perfume? I closed the laptop when you came out of the bathroom. You lay beside me, hugged me, as if everything was fine. But I felt the coldness of your hands. You were playing a role, and I hated you for it. But I hated myself more for letting you fool me for so long. The camera was just the beginning. I knew it would give me more. I'd see what you did when I wasn't around. I'd find out who you texted, who you called, who you let into your life. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I wouldn't stop until I exposed your lies. The camera caught you whispering on the phone, mentioning a name, Maxim, but you never told me about any Maxim. It was yesterday, when I supposedly went to meet a friend. In reality, I was sitting in a cafe around the corner, watching the camera feed in real time. You thought I was far away and let your guard down. You sat on the bed, holding your phone, your voice low, but I heard it. Maxim, I can't talk long. He'll be back soon. My insides churned. Maxim, who was he? Why did you talk to him like you were afraid I'd hear? I rewound the footage to make sure I hadn't misheard. You said his name twice. Maxim, I'll try, you said, then laughed, but it wasn't your usual laugh. It was nervous, like you were trying to impress someone. I paused the video, staring at your face. You looked happy. Happier than you'd been with me these past months. I felt anger boil, but I held it back. Anger wouldn't help. I needed facts. So I decided to check your old Telegram messages. I knew you rarely deleted chats, thinking I wouldn't check. I logged into your account through the web version, using the password you hadn't changed in months. I scrolled through chats, looking for Maxim. At first, nothing. Colleagues, friends, a work group. But then I found him, a contact with a photo of a man in dark sunglasses. Maxim K. You hadn't deleted your chat, though the last message was 3 weeks ago. I read, and each word was like a knife. Missed you, he wrote. When are you free? You replied. Soon, I'll figure something out. You arranged meetings at cafes, hotels, even a park. You texted him at night, when I was nearby, thinking you were replying to a friend. You lied to me, but not to him. I screenshotted everything, my fingers trembling. This wasn't just flirting. It was more. I checked his social media profile. Maxim Kovalenko, 35, works at an IT company. His page was full of photos from trips, parties, expensive restaurants. He looked like a man who knew how to impress. And you fell for it. I scrolled through his posts, looking for you. But you were careful. No shared photos, no tags. You hid him from the world. But not from the camera. Not from me. That evening, I came home, pretending everything was fine. You were cooking dinner, humming something. I looked at you and thought, how can you be so carefree? You're betraying me, and I'm still your home, your safety. But I didn't want to be a fool anymore. I knew his name. I knew where you met. And I was ready to go further. I went to bed, keeping my phone close. The camera kept recording. I knew it would give me more. I'd see what you did when you thought I wasn't watching. I'd find out how far you'd gone with Maxim. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I wouldn't stop until I knew the whole truth. I gathered evidence, screenshots, recordings, receipts, but you still denied everything when I subtly hinted at your late meetings. I didn't want to reveal myself right away. I'd learned to be patient, to hold back the anger tearing at me. Last night at dinner, I asked why you were staying late so often, and you looked at me with feigned offense. What? You don't trust me, you said, your eyes flashing as if I'd accused you of a crime. But I knew you were bluffing. You played the hurt card to make me back off. And I did. I pretended to believe you. But inside, I was seething. Your denials only fueled the fire. I had everything. Your messages with Maxim, camera recordings of you whispering his name, location history showing hotels and cafes you never visited with me. But you kept lying, looking me in the eye. You thought I'd buy your, I'm tired, or it's just work. But I wasn't buying it anymore. So I decided to talk to Maxim directly. I wasn't going to make a scene or threaten him. I needed the truth, and I knew you wouldn't give it to me. I found his number in your messages and created a new WhatsApp account to pose as a client. I wrote, Hello, Maxim, you were recommended as an IT specialist. Can we discuss a project? He replied within an hour, suggesting a call. I agreed, but asked to meet in person. I wanted to see him. I wanted to know who he was. We arranged to meet at Café Liberty. Ironically, the same place you were with him, according to the receipt. I arrived early, sat at a corner table, holding my phone to look busy. When he walked in, I recognized him instantly from his photo. Tall, in an expensive blazer, with a smug smile. He sat across from me, shook my hand, and started talking about his projects. I listened, nodding, but thought only one thing. This is the man you're betraying me with. I carefully steered the conversation to personal matters. I said I was looking for a specialist for a long-term project and asked if he had time, considering his personal life. He laughed and said, There's always time, especially for interesting people. His tone was suggestive, and I felt my fist clench under the table. I asked if he had someone special, and he replied evasively, Let's just say I don't like staying still. I understood. He didn't see your relationship as serious. You were just entertainment to him. I thanked him for the meeting and left, promising to follow up. But I had no intention of working with him. I got what I wanted, confirmation. He wasn't just your friend. He was your lover. And he respected neither you nor me. That evening, I returned home, where you were waiting with dinner. You smiled, talked about your day, but I saw the lie in every word. I knew who Maxim was. I knew what you were doing with him. And I was ready to end this. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I wouldn't stop until I put an end to your game. Maxim turned out to be not just a colleague, but your old friend you spent evenings with. But you still came home and slept in our bed as if nothing happened. I sat in the car after meeting him, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. His smug smile, his evasive answers, his hints, all confirmed my worst suspicions. You weren't just betraying me. You were living a double life, and I was just part of your facade. I returned home, where you were cooking dinner, humming something light. You looked so innocent, so normal. But I saw the real you. I knew you texted him when I was asleep. I knew you wore his gifts, bracelet, perfume, dresses. I knew you lied to me every time you opened your mouth. And yet you lay beside me, hugged me, as if I was still your home. That was the worst, your ability to pretend. So I realized I could no longer be a victim. I was tired of the pain, the doubts, your deception. I gathered all the evidence, screenshots of your chats, camera recordings, receipts, location history. I compiled them into a folder on my laptop, simply named Truth. It was my weapon. I wasn't going to beg for honesty anymore. I wasn't going to yell or make scenes. I'd act coldly, as you did, hiding your life from me. I started planning. At first, I thought of just leaving, walking away without explanation. But that would be too easy for you. You'd spin a story, tell your friends I couldn't handle your busyness. No, I wanted you to feel the consequences. I wanted you to understand that your lies had a price. I decided to expose you, not just to myself, but to everyone who thought you were perfect. I checked your schedule. You planned another meeting with Maxim on Friday. I saw the telegram message. I knew the place and time. I could have gone there, caused a scene, but that was too cliché. Instead, I decided to gather more. I hired a private investigator, not to follow you, but to get photos. Clear, professional ones of you with Maxim. I wanted you to have no way to wriggle out. The investigator worked fast. Within 2 days, he sent me an envelope with photos. You and Maxim at a cafe, you laughing, holding his hand. You and him outside a hotel, you kissing his cheek. I looked at those photos, and the pain gradually turned into cold resolve. I was no longer a victim. I was the one in control. That evening, you came home, as always, with a smile. You asked how my day was, and I said everything was fine. But I looked at you and thought, you don't know what I'm preparing. You don't know your lies are about to crumble. I was ready to finish this. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I wouldn't stop until I made you pay. I stopped blaming myself. You thought I was blind, that I'd forgive, that I was weak. But I was no longer the man I was. I stood in front of the mirror, looking at my reflection, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel pain. Instead, there was clarity. I had all the evidence, screenshots of your chats with Maxim, camera recordings of you whispering his name, photos from the investigator of you together. I knew where you went, with whom, and when. I knew everything. And I was ready to act. Before, I feared the truth. I feared it would destroy me. But the truth set me free. I realized you weren't worth my tears, my doubts, my sleepless nights. You betrayed not just me, but everything we built. And I wasn't going to let you walk away unscathed. I made a plan, not emotional, not chaotic, but precise, like a chess game. You thought I was a pawn, but I was a king. I started with small things. I stopped making you the breakfast you loved. I stopped asking about your day. I became colder, more distant, and I saw it unsettled you. You tried to regain my attention, hugging me, suggesting we spend an evening together. But I knew it was just a game. You were scared I suspected something. And you were right. I contacted your friends, not to spill everything, but to see what they knew. I texted Alina, Natalia, even your sister. None of them knew about Maxim. You hid him even from them. That only strengthened my resolve. You weren't just betraying me. You were isolating me from the truth, keeping everyone in the dark. But I was about to turn on the light. I updated my social media, posted photos with friends where I was laughing, looking happy. I wanted you to see, I wasn't broken. I wasn't your doormat to wipe your feet on. You noticed, I saw you scrolling through my Instagram when you thought I wasn't looking. Your eyes narrowed, but you said nothing. You felt you were losing control. I also took care of myself. I joined a gym, started running in the mornings, updated my wardrobe. Not to impress you, but to remind myself who I was. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't your backup plan. I was a man who deserved respect. And I was going to demand it. My plan was nearly ready. I knew when you'd meet Maxim next Friday at the evening restaurant. I wasn't going to make a scene there. That was too simple. Instead, I prepared something else, a way to make you feel the same pain I felt. I was ready to expose you, not just to myself, but to everyone who thought you were perfect. I was no longer afraid. I was ready to finish this. You thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I was no longer the one who'd let you fool him. I transformed. And you'd soon find out how much. I invited you to dinner at Café Mirage, the same place you'd been with Maxim, according to the receipt. You agreed, thinking it was a reconciliation, a chance to regain my attention. You arrived in a new dress, with a smile that once made my heart race. But now I saw its true nature, a mask hiding your lies. We sat at a table, and you started talking about your day, as if everything was as it used to be. But I wasn't listening. I was waiting. The waiter brought wine, and I placed a folder on the table. Thin, black, no label. Your eyes narrowed, but you kept smiling, asking, "What's this?" I didn't answer. I opened the folder and spread the evidence before you. Screenshots of your chats with Maxim. Photos from the investigator of you together at a cafe, outside a hotel. Camera recordings of you whispering his name. Receipts, location history, everything. Your smile vanished. You froze, and I saw your fingers grip the tablecloth. You thought I wouldn't notice, I said quietly, but my voice was firm as steel. You thought you could lie to my face and get away with it. You tried to say something, but the words caught in your throat. Your eyes darted over the papers, searching for an escape, but there was none. I'd gathered everything so you couldn't deny it. You opened your mouth, mumbled something about misunderstanding, but I stopped you with a gesture. "Don't," I said. "I know everything. And I'm done." I stood, tossed a few bills on the table for the wine, and walked out. You didn't scream, didn't run after me. You sat there, stunned, surrounded by the scattered proof of your betrayal. I knew what you felt, the same pain, the same emptiness I'd felt for months. But I didn't stop there. The next day, I packed your things. Clothes, makeup, even the bracelet Maxim gave you. Everything was neatly boxed by the door. I changed the locks so you couldn't come back. I didn't want to see you, didn't want to hear your excuses. You'd lost that right. But I went further. I sent a short message to your sister and friends with a few photos and an explanation. I wasn't cruel, didn't go into details. I just wrote, "She was cheating on me with someone else. Here's the proof." I knew your reputation was something you valued. And I knew the truth would spread fast. Alina texted me within an hour, shocked. Your sister called, but I didn't pick up. I didn't need their sympathy. I needed justice. You lost not just me. You lost the trust of those who thought you were perfect. Your mask fell, and I was the one who tore it off. I heard you tried to explain to your friends that it's not what it looks like, but the evidence spoke for itself. You couldn't talk your way out. And me? I was free. I deleted your photos from my phone, removed everything that reminded me of you. I went back to the gym, hung out with friends, planned a trip. I was no longer a victim. I was myself, strong, confident, ready to move on. You thought you'd destroy me, but you were wrong. I stood up, shook off your deception, and walked forward. And you stayed behind, with your boxes of belongings and the shards of your lies.